Thank you everyone for coming. I just want to introduce myself really briefly, and then I want to get the stage to the real panelists of this session. I'm Bianca Placa, and I'm the executive manager of the World Environmental Education Congress. It's a congress that is organized every 2 years all around the world. Last year we had the honor to be here in that venue with the help and the co-organization of the Environmental Dhabi Agency. We are continuing our collaboration with them. So as you can see, this panel is organized with the help of the Environmental Agency of Abu Dhabi and other 3 organizers. We, as the World Environmental Education Congress, the Clever Rome and the Fifth Element. That's because we are launching, and we launched actually the project No Limits to Hope last year here in Abu Dhabi. It's a project that is a global initiative led by the Clever Rome and us, and has the idea to put together a lot of different stakeholders engaged in education for enhancing the learning and for enhancing the power of the learning all around the world using different case histories, these different tools, etc. This project was born 45 years after the No Limits to Learning report that was the flagship say of the Clever Rome, one of the most important organizations connected with environment and education. So we are very proud to be part of this movement, this changing after 45 years, and to continue to enhancing the education worldwide. This panel has the idea to present a project, No Limits to Hope, because it's possible to be part of this movement that has, as you can see, really deep and also difficult goals. We want to create something that can be used all around the world with different tools, as I said. The first one was a kind of report. We launched a call for presentations last year. We collected a number of papers from educators, academia, and not only from academia. We are working on the research for collecting them in a new report that will be presented next year in Perth, in Australia, for our next Congress. But we want that you can be part of this movement. So I'm really happy to ask you to be involved in these processes, in this research. You can do this mainly in 2 ways, but not only. First of all, you can participate in the online forum that we are still open on our website, and so you can send your contribution. You can be part of the forum. You can read and interact with other educators and researchers as you. Or you can work with us for promoting a webinar. Because between now to the September 26th to the Congress in Perth, we want to create a kind of milestones of events. So we are more than welcome to reaching your ideas, reaching your contribution. It's an open process, it's an open movement. So please let me know if you want to participate in some way. Of course, if you want to come to Perth and to present your activities, so please write me. So this is my presentation, my spot, and just to explain the meaning of the title of this panel, that is No Limits to Hope. So today we have the opportunity to listen to 4 interesting presentations, 4 case histories, very different from different parts of the world. And I hope we have also time for some questions and some discussion. So the first panelist I want to introduce is Dr. Richard Perry. I'm very happy to have you here because Dr. Perry is a scientist and environmentalist. He worked in different continents and in different institutions, but since 2010 is a member of the Environmental Abu Dhabi Agency, as a senior advisor and another title, but the focus is that is really, really involved in research, in education, and he also is the co-chair of the past edition of our Congress that we had here in Abu Dhabi. So we continue our collaboration. Richard was not only the chair of the Congress last year, but he also worked for the roadmap. Is something that now he will explain much better. And he also worked for collecting the proceedings of the Congress. That was a huge work, but it's done. Okay, thank you, Richard.
I actually arrived here in 1999, so I've been here 26 years or so. I came to establish the environment agency to set it up. So I set up protected areas, the GIS, and the regulatory framework. I then left in 2004 to go to Australia, working there before coming back in 2006 to work at Master, and then back at the agency in 2010. So a very long history of association. But my background, one of the first jobs I ever had was working in schools in North London, building nature gardens and school grounds so that kids could get to see nature and so on, and taking them out to a farm just outside London, so they could touch the wet grass, cut trees, milk cows, and that type of thing. And that was 40 odd years ago. And I'll touch on that in a moment, how important that experiential learning is, because you're really into the heart. As Bianca said, environment education is not new. It's been going on for many, many years, but it's evolved over time. So we had the Stockholm Declaration, the principles, we had Rotary Report, which was defining sustainable development, and then the Rio Agenda, what we're trying to do to achieve sustainable development. And learning is part of that process. It's one of the tools to achieve sustainable development. So it's important that we don't just teach people things, we teach them things that can achieve sustainable development as a goal at the end of the day. So we need to teach them the right way. So, learning to know is more than just telling people about the environment and just sort of, doing knowledge. It's about experiential learning, getting it into the heart and understand what it means. So you don't open a book that says this is this. You need to get out there and feel, look, touch, and understand what we're trying to teach them. Learning to do is also an important aspect. With that knowledge, that experiential learning, what do you do with it? Okay? What practical use can you put into it? Learning to be. Again, this is an important aspect. Once you've put into practice what you've learned, you just sit back and appreciate what you've done. Okay? You planted a mangrove tree, sit back, enjoy it, see the ecosystems grow up. So understand, become part of nature, understand that process. And ultimately living together in an environment as a community. It's not just you, it's everyone around you needs to understand the part of the planet. So at EAD we have our outreach strategy is about a longer term vision. We need restorers. And recently we've been nominated or recognised as a regional centre of expertise for ecosystem restoration. We need restorers. We need to teach them what it is to look after ecosystems, how to do it, and get out and do it. We also need stewards. We need people who understand how important it is. It's not a Wednesday afternoon field trip, just go out to see the mangroves, what it might be. It's understanding that you have a responsibility. We plant a tree, you also have a responsibility to look after the tree. It's a stewardship. And finally, the system thinking. I was at a panel the other day on Sunday about the knowledge graph and down to words of ecosystem analysis. Systems thinking is really important. How things are related. That tree needs water, needs this, and this. And it provides services that holistic overview. Okay, so we're teaching people about the environment, get the whole picture of how things are related. And how do we do that? Well, I see this typo in my version of my presentation. So mangrove restoration. I met a colleague outside about an hour ago. She's doing mangrove planting by drones, large-scale restoration planting. But she's also teaching kids how to do it as well, showing them the process, showing them the seeds, how to load them up on the system, and then go out and monitor over a long period. So take the opportunity, we have restoration projects as a learning opportunity. Get people out there, teach them how to do it, show them techniques and practice, get ownership of that restoration project. It's an important aspect. Many years ago, back in the UK, we planted 130,000 seedlings over a weekend in the large scale Northern Forest project. And within 2 days, 30,000 had been ripped out by vandals. That's what we need to overcome. Get people to understand the restoration, the beauty of it, the importance of it. And other things that can involve wildlife monitoring. And just from our colleagues at UAE University, they're going to be helping us do teaching for wildlife monitoring, education on wildlife monitoring. And we have a program through Nature, Citizen Science, get the community out there to monitor the environment, to get people out there, collecting data, understanding the environment. It's all about education, awareness, and building that love for the environment. And it's not just out there in the desert or wherever. Oasis Garden, in the garden. I said right at the start, my first job ever, literally, was schools North London, building nature gardens. Get the kids to line the ponds with carpets, fill it up, garden weeds, get them out to understand them. In the long term, that's their ecosystem. They need to manage it. They need to look after it. Ownership, stewardship. But it's not that easy. We have a packed curriculum with the schools. They're already teaching English, maths, French, whatever it might be. There's a lot on that plate already. The teachers are overwhelmed. They have standard testing, GCSEs, A-levels, etc. Getting the environment onto the curriculum is really important in an already stretched environment. Fortunately, our partners at the Abu Dhabi Education Knowledge Authority are working with us on that front. They're helping us get to the schools, they're mandated now. All schools follow our Sustainable Schools program with eco audits and field trip things. So they have seen that it's so important to get into the curriculum, across the curriculum, the whole school. So the teachers, the parents, and the kids are all involved in building the nature gardens, doing the eco audits, doing field trips. And as Bianca mentioned, 12th WEEC, February last year, same place, 3,000 delegates, 300 speakers. It was a great opportunity for best practice and learning from around the world. We have 83 countries here. Everyone was sharing this knowledge about how do you teach the environment, how do you raise this awareness, how do you impart that love for the environment. And the proceedings that Bianca mentioned, there's 400 odd pages of best practice and knowledge in those proceedings, packed with information. The conference was around the challenges, the goals, the means, and dimensions, and cultural heritage and aesthetics we were talking about earlier is really important to understand that it's not just nature, there's a whole cultural aesthetics angle to the environment as well. A couple of papers I wanted to pull out from the proceedings, just as examples of sort of knowledge that's in there that we'll take away and use in our quest for environmental education. The first one looked at across many countries. They first looked at 83 countries, whittled down to about 14, I think. They looked at just teaching people about the environment. What's the benefit? Okay? Does it help? Does it help change their behaviour? The answer they came back with, it helps, but it could be far more useful as well. And what they found was that giving people awareness, they knew about the environment, but they didn't really change their behaviour towards the environment. They didn't change their purchasing decisions. So it goes beyond just teaching about something. It's about experiencing and getting that knowledge in the heart, getting action about it. Another interesting paper was about future reach and technology. And one of the findings of the 12th WEEC was about the need to embrace technology, not to be afraid, but to embrace it and use it for the teaching. This current generation is so full of their apps and dials and things that we might as well embrace this and bring it into the teaching. And here, more importantly, they're teaching kids how to build technology, so sort of electrical welding stuff. But not just for quick solutions, for longer term vision about protecting the environment, solving a problem. So it wasn't just a quick, well, you got this to this. That's just knowledge. It's the longer term, oh, I can do something with this. I can achieve something with this. I can solve a problem with this. This one was interesting again. The SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, we looked at the framework for education for sustainable development. Got 17 goals and used them in the curriculum to map the core outcome learnings across the whole school curriculum. They found to be really important to give people a framework of why we're doing this. What's the purpose of learning this mathematical function, whatever it might be. And as an exercise, I took one of our programs, the Sustainable Schools Initiative, and the European Union have a SDG mapper program. You upload a document and they say how many SDGs does this address. So our SSI program addresses 13 of the 17 SDGs. Bearing in mind it's mainly on eco-audits, so it's about resource use as the main focus. But having a broad spectrum of 13 of the 17 SDGs it maps against. So this project here looked at if you can map your learning outcomes against the SDGs, it helps people to understand what it is they're trying to learn. What's the purpose of what we're learning? And this project I found really quite interesting. This is in the Adriatic, they had a group of kids on a boat, and they pretended that water was scarce. And we live in a desert, and water in theory is scarce, but you wouldn't know if you were here. We can desal as much water as we want. It's not scarce. So the mimicry of scarcity is about making people understand how precious the resource is, how precious that environment is. The fact that you've got fewer dugong or oryx or turtles or whatever it might be. Okay. Things are scarce, precious resources that we need to value. And this is a really interesting example of putting people into a situation where suddenly they're forced to address that scarcity. And it hits home, we don't have any water today, we've got no power, that's scarcity. Remember, scarcity is an important aspect. Again, this one's another interesting aspect. This is a long-term study on kestrel nesting in this school. And it has a couple of things. Long-term aspects of teaching, which is important. It's not just a Friday or Wednesday afternoon lesson. It's long-term. Every nesting season, every year, the kids go out and measure the nests and the fledglings, etc. So it's long-term, but also the whole school is involved. The teachers, the parents, the school, the kids, in all the classes. So each year, we did it the year before, that goes the next year, do it again, etc. It's a community aspect. Those are our kestrels, right? We've got a long-term invested interest in nature. So the long-term aspect of teaching is important. As Bianca mentioned, out of the 12th web came the academic roadmap with a series of recommendations on education for sustainable development. And a few of the ones we looked at were artificial intelligence and technology, which we mentioned. It's important we address this, that we use it and capitalise on it. Early childhood learning is really important as well. Get them young, but all the way through the life cycle. Okay? To my age and beyond. We need to touch the decision makers as well, the politicians. We all need educating, cradle to grave. Aesthetics and values and cultural diversity is the other less tangible aspects that are important as well. And give people a reason to want to protect something, a sense of belonging, a sense of ownership, stewardship, and network and collaboration. And WEEC, Bianca's involvement, is this global network of environmental educators. And IUCN here, global network of conservation, bringing the two together. It's about networking and partnership together. So, what do we do with all this? Well, protected areas and using them to teach people. We have several protected areas that, as an agency, we manage. So, Al-Wafqa is a wetland. We can take people out there, do the nature trails, get them involved, train up, show them what's what. But it's more than just that. needs to be doctor passion, as I see Dr. Shaker here, who is a master's at Hawaii. Using it as a lab, as a study lab, teaching people, training people. We need to look at each of our protected areas. It's part of the management plan. How can we use them to educate, train, teach? Not just the rangers, the public, the kids as well. Everybody. Management, ecosystem, holistic thinking. Restoration, I've already mentioned. We do restoration. Let's use that restoration to teach people, use it as a classroom. Seek out these opportunities, capitalize on them. And before I forget, Bianca's already mentioned it, WEEC 2026, important. Okay? We need to be there, we need to network and collaborate. So, from our perspective, EAD, Rami Agency, Abu Dhabi Roadmap and Principles for Education. Sustainable schools have just been awarded 7 stars for best practice, but it's still not quite there. It's still, the kids come and go. We need to work on that. We need to work on really embedding the SDGs. Now we've had students, we've had consultants come back to the agency who did exercise kids here in Abu Dhabi, and they said to me, because of that program, they went into Korea for one of the consultants. We've had a couple of cases like that. So these programs are important. You don't often see the impact they have. And the Regional Centre of Expertise, we've only just started. We're looking for partners to build the resources, the curriculum. How do we train people? How do we impart this knowledge and build the skills and capacity for the future? So together we can do it. Right? There's no limits to hope apart from our imagination. There's a huge challenge ahead of us. Let's think creatively and work together.
Thank you, Richard. I totally agree that idea to create something together to continue the collaboration. Any collaboration. We are a network, so we are really interested in enhancing our network with this kind of collaboration that can have the same principle, the same ideas. And we was born like an academic congress. Then we open also our program to other components like young people, like practitioners, etc. But regards on the academia, I would like to give the floor, but maybe in a moment, to Professor Rami Beiram from the local university. He is one really deep expert in sustainability. He also worked with foreign universities worldwide, and he can give his perspective on what we can increase the learning, increase our knowledge of perspective. So thank you, Professor.
Thank you, Bianca. Thank you. Welcome all. Thank you for attending our interesting session. For all the folks visiting from outside the UAE, welcome to Abu Dhabi. Welcome to UAE. Everybody from Abu Dhabi and UAE, it's great to have all of you here. So our presentation today, we'll talk about a few minutes, just about the role of university when it comes to education and sustainability. And I wanted to start with a very nice quote that you will see when you go visit the UAE pavilion from our founding father, Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan, where he spoke about education and sustainability back in the early days before we were doing all this. So he says, on land and in sea, our forefathers lived and survived in this environment. They were able to do so because they recognized the need to conserve it, education, to take from it only what they needed to live, and to preserve it for succeeding generations. So His Highness had a long-term vision on sustainability and how it impacted our environment. And with his vision to establish UAE University, which was established in 1976 as the first higher education university in UAE, part of it if you ever get to visit the campus, and you'll see later, sustainability is a big goal in making sure that it will be the first and most sustainable campus in UAE. The three pillars that I want to talk to you about today that represent the UAE University and what the UAE University when it comes to sustainability and education is integrating SDG, is our student-led research and applied research. So integrating SDG goals in our curriculum is very important to us. We have a mandate from the Ministry of Higher Education in that all our curricula is integrated with industry, so that what we teach our students in the classroom, they can then take and apply outside in the real world. What we do with our collaborators, when we solve our collaborators' problems in the classroom, it's applicable to the ground. Student-led research. Students are the most important part of UAE University. What we do is try to set up the next generation, whether it's for medicine, space, AI, engineering. Sustainability is part of that. And student research programs, when it comes to SDG, and you'll see the number of projects that students work on is very staggering. Finally, the applied centers. What we try to establish in the UAE University is be the center point where we have the government agency come to us, where we have the industry come to us, and you have academia with its researchers, expertise, all coalescing together in one place to better for what the nation is trying to do. So we don't want the industry to work on its own, we don't want academia to work on its own, and the government to develop policies and guidelines without involving all of us. So that is the role of UAE University specifically, is to bring all these stakeholders together so we can move forward with what we are trying to accomplish. So I was telling you how many projects we have had. So we have a staggering number of projects SDG related with students. The number of students that have worked on our projects in the last 2 years alone is almost 800 students, with almost more than 150 projects in the last just 2 years. Now, these are a lot of internal projects as well as projects with our external stakeholders, like the Environment Agency of Abu Dhabi and other agencies that work on sustainability. But the sheer number of projects that we have shows you the hunger for students to be involved in SDG type of projects. You know, we have a very motivated College of Agriculture and Veterinary Medicine, led by our good friend, the Dean, Professor Mohammed Al-Yafi, who leads a lot of these type of research projects for the students to motivate them to bring some real life solutions to challenges faced in our nation. So in terms of the applied research centers, how the research centers that we have work closely with the government and the industry, one of the most important research centers we have is the National Water and Energy Center that does a lot of consultancy work for the government, a lot of consultancy work for the industry, where they come to us to utilize our expertise, utilize our students, utilize our faculty to help solve some of the issues that are facing our nation. Our Green Research Initiative that was inaugurated in 2024 specifically targets climate change and sustainability. And you would be amazed at how many great ideas students can come up with to help us develop new research projects with the support and the mentorship of the great faculty that we have at UAE University. And finally, working with policy type of government agency like the Environment Agency of Abu Dhabi, we work with them closely to help formulate and develop policies and guidelines that help maintain the sustainability in the UAE. This is what I was speaking about earlier, how we are trying to move to make the campus the most sustainable campus in the UAE. And that, one of the pride and joys of what we're trying to do is increase the number of electricity that is produced from solar panels. This is a very important project that was developed by the university with our external partners. Our target is to have 20% of all our electricity coming from renewable energy. And I think we just inaugurated another site for solar panels, and we're hoping that in the near future we'll be able to announce more of that great success. Our global recognition thanks to all these type of research projects. I think the leadership at the UAE University have been working very hard to push the type of research that we do, especially when it comes to SDGs. We are ranked #1 in 2 of the most important SDGs, SDG 4 and SDG 2, Zero Hunger and Quality Education. We're also ranked between 100 and 200 globally in SDG. And for an upcoming country like us, that's a great accomplishment, where we show that we don't only solve national problems, but we're also contributing to all the global problems that we see out there. This is going to be our future roadmap for 2030 that we're trying to embed. We're going to embed more of the SDGs into our curriculum, have students more involved in real life problems and solutions. Our campus will not just be a regular campus, it will be a living campus of trying to reach sustainability and certain goals that we want to do. And then what's most important for us is applied research. We've spent many years doing basic science research and a lot of lab research. We've come to the point now where our government expects that the research we do is applied, the research we do solves problems and answers critical questions, both nationally and globally. So our call for action, which is what is motivated and pushed by our leadership, both at the UAE University and our higher leadership. So the things that we're facing right now is climate change, smart water, education exchange programs, and regional SDG interventions. We don't only work locally, we expand regionally and internationally to maintain a lot of these goals that we meet. And that's all I have. I can take it away.
You have a lot of things, a lot of examples, so I think that will be also a lot of questions after. And thank you for your contribution and also for all the work that you are doing for connecting not only the theoretical aspect, but also the practical ones with campus like laboratory and so on. It's really interesting, and then I can move to the next speaker that is more, practical, probably in some way, because he is Dr. Toni Chalah. He works for Ekthar. He is an educator, and today he can explain us something more about what is Ekthar Training Vocational Center. It's another case history that is really interesting to know and to understand, because it's another way, not only university, not only the institutions, but also in some way the NGOs or private sector can support the transforming learning, and so to give their contribution to this. So the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you for joining. I'm honored to be part of NatureLit's To Hope panel, and today I'm gonna share with you how Ekthar is turning ambition into action by empowering people for nature conservation and environment sustainability. So, as we all agree, today research is advancing very fast, but to transform it into the field, it is still a big challenge. And research only succeeds when people are empowered to act. And UAE is part of this challenge, and it's through Ekthar, it's aiming to do a strategy to bridge this gap. But before to explore to you in details the challenges and the gaps, let me introduce you quickly Ekthar. So Ekthar, it's a newly Abu Dhabi-based entity, and it focused on science-based conservation, and it is an affiliate of Earthside Philanthropies. Ekthar deliver a science-based conservation solution through globally through collaborative and proactive approach, and by forging localized partnership for lasting biodiversity. But one of its mission, it's only translating knowledge into real-world action and practice. And this is, it comes the role of Ekthar. So let's have a look about the challenges and gaps globally and regionally. As I mentioned, conservation science has made a remarkable progress. But the challenge is not the lack of knowledge, it's mostly the shortage of practitioners. And across GCC and UAE, trained expert or practitioners are in terms of wildlife management, biosecurity, ecosystem monitoring are scarce. So, and on the top of that, when we add the global problems related to biodiversity loss and climate pressures, it also increasing. And the demand in trained people is growth too. Without those trained people, strategy remains an idea and there will be no impact. And as Ekthar, we believe that by basing on scientific solution supported by trained practitioners, we will be making a real impact. So how turn this belief into actions? So Ekthar put in place a strategy that relying on 3 interconnected pillars. The first pillar is the partnership with the university by connecting academia to practice. The second pillar is put in place structured internship program and by developing hands-on experience. And the last pillar is establishing a vocational training center to fill this technical gap. Let me begin by the first 2 pillars, which is the partnership and internship, and where they are already started to give a real impact. Over the last 30 years, Ekthar consolidate a conservation leadership in terms of research across different disciplines: genetics, biology, physiology, veterinary science, ecology, and behavior. By making an international collaboration with different universities, and overall we trained more than 120 students, 19 PhD, 9 postdoc, and we published more than 600 scientific publications. We will continue to grow up in this field and collaborating internationally. But today, also Ekthar, it is expanding this collaboration to make it here in UAE with local universities. We identified 23 universities that offering over 110 relevant programs. And so far, we approached those universities and we started to sign MAUs. So far, we signed 3 MAUs. The first one, it's with Khalifa University based on robotics and artificial intelligence for behavioral studies. The second one was UAE University College of Veterinary Science and based on internship and focusing on research on veterinary research science. And the third one has been signed 3 days ago with Sharjah University and is gonna cover the environmental science with the biotech, physiology and data science and genetics. Also, we launched structured internship program with local universities, and over the last years, mostly 40 students took benefit from this structured internship and transformed their academic skills into their practical skills. And it covers the most core activities that we are capable to offering to them. While those two pillars are inspiring and promising, we're still facing a big gap, and this big gap is the technical gap. To bridge it, this gap, Ekthar, here it comes our next steps. To bridge it is to put in place and establishing a vocational training center, which a main focus on hands-on training, and it's gonna deliver accredited certification. But this vocational training center is gonna target different kind of categories: students, early career, but also learners without formal qualification. And here it comes to give a hope to this category to have an access to this training, vocational training center, and build their career growth and be part of the conservation society. But also will target technicians, field practitioners, falconers, breeding communities, and also institutions and agencies government and semi-governmental one. The center will cover a wide range of topics structured around 4 main domains. The first domain is sustainable breeding and conservation. The second is biosecurity. The third is biodiversity and ecosystem management. And the third, technology and data for sustainable conservation solution. Let me begin by the first one, which is the sustainable breeding conservation. It's gonna mainly focus on steppe species, including the Wara bustard, which is an emblematic bird for UAE and GCC, but also North Africa and Central Asia. And it's gonna link the ex situ management skills to the in situ conservation skills, starting by the captive breeding skills through the artificial reproduction components, up to the releasing of the species and monitoring the species into the wild. The second domain is biosecurity. It's gonna focus on applied biosecurity on domestic and wild captive animals by covering skills with biosecurity and hygiene measures, health management, applying different protocols, and one of them is vaccination protocol, and also monitoring, surveillance, and risk assessment. And the most important one is outbreak preparedness and emergency response. The third domain, it's gonna teach skills and cover the wildlife monitoring and protection, the habitat survey and restoration, managing natural reserves, designing ecotourism activities, and the last is put skills in terms of field tools and applied conservation skills. The last domain, which is the technology and data for sustainable conservation solutions, it's gonna build capacity in the following skills: database management system, data integration and quality control, AI and advanced data analysis, geospatial tools applied to conservation, and data interpretation and communication. The vocational training center, it's gonna be a UAE and internationally accredited program. And this program is designed in a modular certification system, offering short-term and long-term courses and allowing completion in stage, which can be from micro-certificate with a few days to up to a few weeks, up to a diploma for 2 years. And it's gonna be providing a flexible learning options. This is how Ekthar is aiming to bridge the gap and the technical gap. And we believe at Ekthar that by investing in people on environmental education and capabilities, we secure the future of our planet. Thank you for your attention.
Hello, my name is Kotoko Yadomaru from Japan. I'm a president of NatureLit Japan, which is the Japanese organization focusing on the environmental education and communication. I founded that last December 2024 because there are so many organizations teaching what is biodiversity, what is the climate crisis, what is the pollution issue, but not so much organization are teaching how to involve the environmental action in Japan. So I want to change that situation because so many youth or the civil society wants to do something, but they don't know how to do. So I want to support them to start their creating the path to with confidence to do something to environmental action. I created the 7-step model from the awareness to action based on my experience because I've been working as youth for 5 years. Then I recognized some of the challenges. If I know something, but still difficult to change the phase to the action. So for example, the base one is nothing to know, but then now learn something about the biodiversity or environmental issue. but still have to scaling up to do the action with confidence. So I will introduce my model to transform from the knowledge to action. That's my speaking.